listening to the Good Dirt podcast. This is a place where we dig into the nitty-gritty of sustainable living through food, fashion, and lifestyle.
And we're your hosts, Mary and Emma Kingsley, the mother and daughter founder team of Lady Farmer. We're sowing seeds of slow living through our community platform, events, and online marketplace.
We started this podcast as a means to share the wealth of information and quality conversations that we're having in our world as we dream up and deliver ways for each of us to live into the new paradigm, one that is regenerative, balanced, and whole.
We want to put the microphone in front of the voices that need to be heard the most right now, the farmers, the dreamers, the designers, and the doers.
So come cultivate a better world with us. We're so glad you're here. Now, let's dig in.
Welcome, everyone, to this special episode of The Good Dirt. Emma and I recorded this in lieu of an interview for today, to talk about what it's been like for us to work together as a mother-daughter team since starting Lady Farmer in 2016. And to make an important announcement about something that's definitely going to have an impact on things moving forward. But more on that later. This conversation was unscripted, unrehearsed, and lots of fun. Then, as fate would have it, just a few short days later, on May 1st, my own mother and Emma's grandmother passed away. She would have been 97 next month. It was not unexpected. Her beautiful, blessed life had come to an end, and she was finally able to join my father, who went just a few months before her. We had a very close connection. I was her only daughter, as Emma is my only daughter. So the thread that pulls the generations together is tight. There's so much to say about my lovely mother, who was so full of life, wisdom, and so much fun. I'm in such awe of what she lived through, what her lifespan represented in terms of historical events and societal shifts. I've written about it, and I plan to write more. So stay tuned and check out our Substack, where there's much more to come about my mother, Jean. It's spelled the French way, with the N-E added to the end. I want to share about her life story, her impact, and what she taught us, even up to the very end. But for now, on Mother's Day, as she passes me the torch to continue on with her legacy of love, nurturance, encouragement, and the embodiment of everything that mother means, I accept, with all the courage and grace I have, the role of carrying on with her in my heart. And as for that other announcement, it's coming right up here in this episode, so stick with us and have a beautiful, meaningful Mother's Day weekend. See you next time.
So, you just said you have no notes and a glass of wine. I think it's a great way to start
Well,
out.
it is Friday night,
Friday evening.
and normally I would say I'm done. I'm not getting into anything right now, but this was the time that worked out for us. So I'm game. It's been a really, really beautiful day. It's just stellar weather,
Yeah.
and so I've been outside in it pretty much all day, just piddling around and doing this or that. Yeah. So
Well, we're here because when this comes out, it'll be Mother's Day weekend.
yeah.
And we thought we'd record a special Mother's Day episode because you're my mom.
Yes, and we are a mother-daughter team,
So
and
that makes sense.
a lot goes along with that.
Yeah. So I thought maybe it'd be fun to talk about, people ask us, what's it like working with your mom? And maybe we should just kind of start there. Like, what's it like working together? And then also maybe how that's changed over the years
Mm-hmm.
or what we've learned. Yeah, I don't know. And what it's like for you, because sometimes we explain this to other people, but we rarely process it amongst ourselves. So,
That's true. This is very unrehearsed.
mhm,
What do you call this? Spontaneous.
mhm.
Yeah. So who knows what
Here
is
we
going to
go.
come
Lady
up
Farmer
here.
Unplugged.
Gosh, now I'm nervous. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
So, Mom, what's it like working with your daughter?
So, it's funny when you were saying this a minute ago. Most of the time, people are asking you, what's it like working with your mom? I
Yeah.
actually really don't get that question that often. What's it like working with your daughter? Isn't that funny? That just
Oh,
occurred to
that is
me.
funny.
Yeah. People always say kind of like working with your mom. They kind of, there's sort of a intonation to it that's a little
Mhm.
suspect.
Yeah, it is a little suspect. A little biased, maybe.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear that. Okay, so you ask me first.
Yeah.
What's it like
What's it like
working with
working
your
with your
daughter?
daughter?
I think overall, in general, it's really a delight, and I feel very privileged to be able to do it and to be able to have this kind of interaction with you and on an almost daily basis, maybe not every day, but pretty much. So it's not just about, normal mother-daughter things, our interaction. It's about all these cool things we talk about, and we get to share our experiences and conversations with other people. We get to plan things together. We get to collaborate on creative projects. We write together, all this really cool stuff. So I just think I'm just like the luckiest mom in the world.
Aw.
Now, you don't have to say the same thing just because I said it.
Yeah, you are the luckiest mom in the world.
I know there are other mother daughter business teams out there. You see them all
Mm,
the time. And so I know this is out there, and those moms probably feel the same way I do.
yeah,
I'm guessing because, yeah, I just think it's a rare privilege, and I'm delighted to do it.
I'm so glad.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a privilege. I feel similarly. I guess at this point, it's been a while. It's been like 7 years. And so I almost can't remember what it was like not working with you. I don't
I
know.
know.
Or like, it's been a while since I had a real boss because my work has always been a little more freelancy. I've always sort of pieced jobs together, and I haven't really had an extended period where I've been like in a 9 to 5 with a boss type thing.
Because you're a millennial and you are
Yes.
part of the gig economy.
Mhm. So I don't really like remember what it was like almost not working with you or, not being my own boss. So that's its own can of worms, but also feels like a privilege that I've been able to piece stuff together in a creative way. Um, but yeah, when people ask what's it like working with your mom, at this point feels like, well, it's just what it is. I don't know. I don't know what to compare it to.
I think they're asking for drama. They want to know the drama.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it then. What's the drama? I don't know. Honestly, my answer a lot of times is like, if there is drama, I feel like it's rarely related to Lady Farmer. Like, right? Like, I feel like we have, for some reason, on Lady Farmer stuff, and maybe it's like why the business works, is because I think we see eye to eye on a lot of the business stuff. Like, usually, if there's a big thing we have to work through, somehow we're like on the exact same page. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I don't think we've had any really big differences of opinion on the bigger decisions.
Yeah.
And something I have noticed is that when we do have to make a decision about where to go on something or which direction, I feel like what usually happens is that, I'll say what I think and you'll say what you think and why you think it should go a certain way. And I usually end up agreeing with you for some reason. I mean,
Oh,
have I ever said, no, it will not be that way. It's going to be the way I say. I don't recall that ever happening.
that's interesting because I don't ever recall us thinking that differently about stuff, but maybe I'm just bossy. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Well,
just.
I think you're a good leader and you have a good sense of what moves to make, and I kind of trust you on that. And I say this with great caution because I don't want to present myself as like the dumb boomer mom or, the older generation that doesn't know how to do stuff. I'm kind of defensive about that. So I don't want to present that. However, I will defer to you because I feel like you do have a better sense of the way things look or the way things will work out or the way things are working out there in the
Mm-hmm.
digital sphere, which we're
Yeah,
mostly
I think that
digital.
makes sense with it's an online business and I'm natively online and you are not natively
Yes.
online.
Yeah, I
So,
guess that's a really good way to put it.
yeah.
My inclinations are not based in all of this. I mean, I was practically 60 years old when we started this.
And you were like older than I am now when the internet came out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is,
I remember
yeah.
like, oh, what's the internet? What
Yeah.
does that word even mean? And I remember someone saying, oh, well, you can buy tickets.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But you can. No, that's funny.
And you can still buy
Um,
tickets.
You can. Yeah. Maybe. That's also a scary place on the internet. Back to though, like working together and always agreeing, or I guess now it's coming out in real time that it's just mostly how to always get mom to agree with me. That's not how I see it, but okay. That's helpful perspective. I think something that we did early on, and I kind of haven't thought about this until now, and I don't know why we necessarily did this. I must have read this in one of those cheesy business books or something, but I think something that we did early on that really helped is maybe because it was crazy at the beginning and I was like, we have to do something about this. We really sat down and said out loud, you're good at this and you want to do this. Emma's good at this and Emma wants to do this. And we kind of separated our roles, I think, in a helpful way. Not that we've ever had to like go back and reference it or really talk about that too much. I mean, it comes up sometimes, but I think a lot of times when people start businesses together, whether or not you're related or whatever it is, I think that might be something that people don't do so much up front. It's like really division of labor and expertise. And I don't know, do you remember that specifically, like having that conversation and talking about that?
I don't remember one specific conversation, but I do know that, that is something that gets repeated. I've been very forward about what I did not want to do
Yeah.
because I just feel like, I'm going to pull seniority and say, I'm not doing that.
And I want to
Yeah.
take this opportunity to shout out that, especially recently, you have taken on so much more of the tech on the editing side and figuring out the podcast stuff and how it all works because we've been doing a lot more work on that stuff. And I don't have the bandwidth, to like really do it all because I have an outside job. You also have things outside Lady Farmer that you do, but you've like really taught yourself the editing software and all of it. And it's pretty impressive. So especially recently, I think you do know how to do a lot more than you might give yourself credit for. Or maybe you do give yourself credit. It's just more recent.
Well, I thank you for saying that because, and I want to tell people out there, whether or not you're boomers or these things are, you can do them. Our brains maybe weren't formed around it like our kids are, but you can do it. And these programs and these platforms and stuff, they are designed so that people can do it. If they weren't, the whole world would fall apart. I mean, because people are out there doing this stuff. People like you and me, people of adequate intelligence, are doing these things. So, yeah, if there's a problem, now I know you just Google it and I guarantee you there's a YouTube video on it.
There you go. If you don't know something, you just type it in Google.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really aggravating though because they'll say, go to this page and click this thing that's right there on the upper right-hand corner. And, it's not because the video was made 2 years ago or whatever. Usually,
You're learning. You have to see the help article. When did it come out? Is it recent? Sometimes you have to Google, like, how do you do this 2024?
Yeah. But anyway,
Okay.
I have been figuring a lot of stuff out lately.
Yeah.
Because I want to be part of the creation of it, and I want it to be good. I want quality control.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, we have some outside help on this, but I don't want to hand over the whole thing. I want
Yeah.
agency. I want agency in the final product. So yeah,
Yeah. So that's cool.
yeah,
And that's been helpful. I think so we're getting vulnerable here. Like a growing experience for me has been maybe in the past when it was like, Emma, can we do this? This needs to be fixed. I would immediately feel like, oh, I have to do that, or like I have to figure that out. But I think, especially more recently, it's been, and that takes a little bit of me not actually just like absorbing all of it and being like, oh, I have to do this. It's like, sure, why not? Let's be problem solvers. Maybe, you know, I don't know how to do it. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll figure it out. And it's like so much easier. Like I don't have to
and also
take everything on.
I think you've kind of gotten past. There was a time where you said, "Mom, don't go in there. You cannot. Do not go on that page." Like I was going to mess something up,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, well, you were probably right, but I think we're kind of past that. I can go
Yeah,
in there.
that's fair. I'll own it.
Like, don't touch that, Mom.
Yeah,
Remember those days?
I do. I still stand by some parts of that, but
But I will say this too, and this is something I've learned. These things are rarely like you can always undo stuff, or you can always go back to the original or whatever.
yes, everything now lives in the cloud. I know we say that too often about things, and especially people of your generation love to say the cloud, like you don't understand what it is. But it really is kind of like a thing, and with most of these online platforms, and we're kind of talking in vague terms, but for anyone listening, we're really just talking about all of the technology that we use to produce to record and publish this podcast. It's basically all cloud-based
Yeah.
programs. And it's true. It's like Google Docs, if you're familiar with Google and Google Drive. Like you can always go back in the history and dig stuff up.
Yeah. So to get off the really techie stuff, all through the years, we have contracted with people to help us in areas where we weren't able to figure out or have the time to do it or the bandwidth or the desire even.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you and I are both kind of, I would call us creatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are things that neither one of us want to do actually,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not inclined that way. It's not like you're the tech person and I'm not, or
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. It's not like that either. There's just so many aspects to pulling this whole thing off, and we've done so many different things. I mean, my gosh, we produced a line of clothing. We've put on 2 live retreat
We
events.
sold tickets on the internet.
Yeah, we sold tickets, and we've done a Kickstarter. We've done workshops. We've done events. We've done online community. We've done funding drives. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, pledge drive.
Pledge drive. We've done all these things, and 7 years ago, I didn't know how to do any of it. So, like I said, I'm pretty protective of my time and my energy. And so if something's just really draining or unpleasant to me or anxiety provoking, I don't do it. So there.
Yeah. And on that note, I do want to say, like, it's also hasn't been like hearts and rainbows. Like any relationship is going to be like, we're going to be frustrated with each other, of course. But I think the hard part, like sometimes it's been really hard. And I think I'm really proud of us that we do a really good job of making things like look nice and sound nice. But it's a lot of work, and it's truly a passion project. We really just do it because we love it.
Yep.
So just speaking to anyone who might be listening who is like, oh, you must like have it all figured out, or like you're super successful, or like doing all this stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, not at all. Either of those things. And then that reminds me to stop and think when I see other people that I'm like, oh, they really have it all figured out. They're super successful. I just think that a lot more of us are really just figuring out as we go, flying by the seat of our pants. And I say that as a fair warning to anyone in this space too, that follows prey like we do, to a very tempting marketing line of like, take my program, do my thing. This is how your business, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it's helpful, but a lot of it isn't. And a lot of it is just, we're all just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that goes for business stuff and it goes for mother-daughter relationship. It's also not perfect. I don't know. I just said something to me today. I was telling them about our CSA membership because I went to pick up our vegetables today. And I was talking about how, it's a great privilege, but it's also a huge responsibility. And I love the food and I love figuring out how to do it. But it's also really hard to like have vegetables molding in the fridge and like, throw out moldy vegetables at the end of the week. That happens. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so relieved to hear you say one half of Lady Farmer, at least, that you throw out moldy vegetables.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, wait, what?
Hey.
And she was like, if your mom does that too, oh my gosh, I feel so much better about myself. I was like, wait, what?
Well,
So I also just want to, maybe this is like a big tangent. I don't know how we got here, but I also just want to take this opportunity to say, everyone, we both have molding vegetables in our fridge.
yeah. But I whoever that was, yes, at the end of the week, there's stuff that didn't
don't
get
use.
eaten. But okay, I'll say this: we compost, and so I don't bat an eye.
Yes.
I do not bat an eye. So whoever this person is, I would like to help them learn to compost wherever they are, because you can do this. So anyway, that's another tangent. But
but it's interesting, like the different things we have kind of internalized. Like even if you're composting, I think it's really hard for a lot of people because it's like food waste. I'm saying that with air quotes, because we've been trained
not to waste
so
food.
long, like not to waste food, and because everything you put and buy in your fridge is like, it's money because you spent money on it, and then it's like composting money. I don't know. We have all kinds of weird stuff about that, but
yeah. But just it's helpful to get your head around the fact that if you are composting, it is not wasted. You are making
making good dirt.
So just pat yourself on the back. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're throwing it in the trash, then we need to talk.
Yeah, we need to talk about composting.
Yeah,
we need to do another podcast episode about that.
I wanted to say how I feel like something that has evolved over these years is that we're really able to separate Lady Farmer from our personal lives.
Oh, yes. Compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
We have gotten good at that.
I think it was harder in the beginning because I would see you and I would, it'd be like, what about this and this? We need to talk about this. And everything was always about Lady Farmer. But I think that was exhausting for both of us. And now I think we pretty much say, like, you can come to the farm and we can have a day and we don't have to talk about Lady Farmer at all. And
that's like so necessary. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
That we figured that out and stopped doing that.
It was exhausting. Yeah. So I don't know. I think both of us kind of figured out that, we don't have to do that. It's a beautiful day. We're going to take a walk, or, you guys are coming for dinner, or we're on a trip or whatever. We're doing that. And that's over here, and Lady Farmer's over there. And not that we can't mention it. It's not like it's a crime or anything, but it's just not a big deal.
Yeah. And I think it's also to your point that it took time to figure that out too.
Yeah.
So obviously at first it's more top of mind, but then you get used to it and you get in a rhythm and you set your own boundaries around all of it. I think that's something else that we've both gotten really good at is boundaries around stuff. Our own, I'm not going to work after this time and we're not going to talk about this till Monday or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Or like, I really don't feel like doing that right now. That's something I think we have the privilege and flexibility to do because we are mother-daughter. And, Wednesday morning arrives and we've got such and such on the schedule. We're supposed to record whatever and it's just not happening. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
We'll just do it another day. I like that.
I like that a lot too. I don't know if that's the best advice or anything, but it works for us sometimes. Especially with recording. If we're going to be recording, you're going to be in the right headspace.
Yeah.
So it's not the right headspace.
I think we both realize that if we're trying to force it, it's not good.
Yeah, I agree.
So back to that question, what's it like working with your mom?
I would say something similar to you. It's in a lot of ways, it's a huge privilege and it's really fun because we do have a lot of flexibility and we have had the time to figure out our working relationship. And it's really like, as someone who has a lot of ideas and a lot of creative energy around a lot of stuff, it really is cool to have someone on my team who is as invested as me. So to me, it's very positive. It's forced me to grow up in a lot of ways, like work on communication skills, work on boundaries, all that stuff. I just think it's been a lot, but it's cool. That's my answer.
I want to say this. I am so impressed with you and your thought processes. And I'm so proud when we're having these conversations with these amazing people, these thought leaders, writers, activists, all these people we interview. And I hear you and your thought process and the way you're thinking about things. And I'm just like, wow, you are so far ahead of where I was at your age.
Mm-hmm.
And someone told me once that you can expect that of the next generation, that they're going to be more evolved than you. I don't know. Is that true? I think it's true in our case. Like, when I was 33, I just was not anywhere near where you are now in terms of just like your ideas and your way of looking at the world. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm proud of you.
Oh, thanks, Mom. And speaking of the next generation, maybe it's a fun chance to say that I'm going to be a mom too.
Okay. You said it. So, yeah, that's a pretty big announcement that we're making to the world. We've kept it under our hat for many months.
The Good Dirt listener world.
Yeah. And then this is not new news particularly.
No, it's not. And it's also, I think it's helpful context as to why we've been working so much more. When I say we've been doing a lot more editing and stuff, it's because we do plan to take a break this summer when the baby will arrive. The baby's expected to arrive in July sometime. And we would like to take off a couple months, but we would like to keep putting out a weekly podcast. So what we're doing right now is we're working really hard to pre-record a bunch of stuff. And you might hear some interviews that we're recording like now-ish time, but they might not play till August type thing. So we know you all will understand listening, and we just really appreciate your being here and your patience with us as we navigate the next few months. And I become a mom myself.
Yes. And I become a grandmother for the first time.
So it's very exciting.
It is so exciting. And I've waited a long time to be a grandma.
Yeah.
Grandmother, let me say.
A Meemaw.
I
You're
haven't
gonna be a Meemaw. Maybe that's your name.
I don't think so. I haven't decided my grandmother name yet. I still have a couple of months. When this comes out, we will be just a couple of months away from this event.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really soon. Mm-hmm. And I know it's your maternity leave because you're giving birth and you're starting your family and all this exciting stuff. But I want a break too because I want time to really savor it and embrace it. I've waited a long time to be a grandmother.
Grand maternity leave.
Yeah, it's totally for me too. And, the minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour is on you. But you will have help. We are nearby to help. Both your dad and I are just really excited. And that will help as much as you want and need.
Mhm.
So I want to have the space to be able to do that. So, and this is an example of where I felt like we should just take a break. We should just tell everybody we're going to take 3 months off. We'll be back. We'll be back at the end of the year or whatever
Mhm.
and resume. But you said no. We're going to keep up our weekly podcast
That's how we're feeling
release.
in this moment. I will leave space for
Yeah, that might change.
might change in the next couple months, but we're trying.
That is the
We're going to get
plan.
as close to weekly as possible. We do have a good backstock of things to release. We
Yeah.
haven't filled every slot, but
And people are reaching out to us all the time saying, "Can I be on the podcast?" And we're like, "Well, yeah."
heck yeah.
And again, that's the really enjoyable part, talking to these people. So that's not a problem. The production of it is a little more involved in getting it lined up and ready to go. And boom, Friday morning, there it is. So yeah, we're working on it. So this is your first Mother's Day. I would call it your first Mother's Day because baby is very much there and on the way and makes its presence known to you on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yes, you have a child. So how does that feel?
It's really exciting. It's really fun right now. And I'm excited to share this with the Lady Farmer community and the Good Dirt listeners because I think there's a lot to talk about here with the baby industrial complex.
Yeah. Ooh, I
and
can't wait to dig into
stuff,
this.
and just getting my house ready and my space ready and, thinking about diapers, and food, all the things. Anyways, I've decided that I want to try cloth diapering. That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
There's just so much, and we don't want to get too far down into the baby land because that's like a whole thing. But I am excited to share in my own personal journeys with all of it, and just really candidly, like where I am right now is like it's very confusing what I will need and what I don't actually need, and I think a lot of it is like you don't know until it's there, and then you have preferences, but you have to try things out. I'm speaking like specific equipment items like a baby carrier or what's the right baby monitor? Like, do you want one on your phone or do you want a separate one? Because there's obviously a million options for everything now. And my observation is that once you are a mom and once you go through it, you obviously figure out what you like. And so then you have like really strong opinions about it. So if you ask people, they're like, oh, let me tell you, I have the answer. But like, that's a word for them. Maybe that's going to work for you. So it's really confusing. And a lot of it is like the stuff that you use just doesn't last very long. Like a newborn is a newborn for like 8 weeks or something. So, and they grow so fast. So yeah, there's a lot there. And, TBD, yet to be experienced, but so much that I'm thinking about and sustainability and being slow and not trying to buy my way out of the anxiety, which I've already found myself doing a little bit of.
New mom consumer decisions. There's so much there. I'll tell you a little, I would call it a Lady Farmer premonition I had, I think, back 38 years ago when I was expecting my first baby. I remember just exactly what you're talking about, like what stuff to get, And that was sort of the genesis of big box stores back in the 80s. And I remember walking into a place, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a big box. I don't remember if it was a baby store particularly, or it just had a lot of stuff in it. And I was looking for a stroller. And I walked in and I went to the stroller section. And this place was a warehouse type place. And you look so up, 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 up. So many shelves. Shelves, how many feet in the air? And it was just stuffed floor to ceiling, however many layers, stories of strollers. And I remember thinking then, this is in the 80s, where is all this stuff going to end up? And it was shocking to me. Like even then.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
And so now all those strollers I was looking at from the mid 80s.
They're probably in the landfill.
Yeah, they're somewhere. Yeah. So anyway, all of that to say, this whole thing that you're getting into this very moment is just full of content and
Totally.
things to discuss, think about, and share. You know, everybody that's entering parenthood is facing these things. But I imagine that a lot of people that are listening to this feel just like you do.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. And all the time we talk about, okay, we can't reject everything. It doesn't make sense. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do?
Yeah, and there's so much, especially in the mom birthing, pregnancy, natural world,
Momosphere.
Yeah. Speaking of when you said you can't reject it, there's a lot of like attitudes around how to do it right and wrong, and I would hope that at Lady Farmer we try really hard to convey the feeling or the intention that we're never trying to say right and wrong. We're not morally anything. There's just things that we think that make us happier. But in the pregnancy and birthing world and being a parent world, oh my gosh, there's just so many things that are so hot button, and there's so much like shame and guilt around so much stuff. And I'm probably not going to get into too much of that on here. I'm happy to share my own experience with it about like, breastfeeding versus formula versus natural birth versus medicated, like all kinds of things, and being in the Lady Farmer more natural, sustainable side of things. There's obviously a lot of that. So it's just all kinds of stuff like that. But removing the like shame and stuff around it.
Wow. Many, many, many discussions to come.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to you. So exciting. So Emma, thanks for being my daughter.
Anytime. Very fun. This is such a really fun and important project to both of us, and we want to keep doing it as long as we can, as long as energy and resources allow.
Yeah.
So I'll take the opportunity to plug. A really good way to support us in the podcast is subscribing to our Substack.
Yes.
We will continue to, as we roll out podcasts over the summer during the leave, we'll continue to post things there as well. We also plan to continue to post articles and helpful resources and things like that throughout the summer as well. It will probably be a slowed down version of what we would normally do as we take a slower approach, but the plan is to return at the end of summer, early fall. So in the meantime, keep spreading the word, keep spreading the good dirt. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes. And happy Mother's Day to all. I know, I guess I should say this. We know that, Mother's Day can be hard for people. There are a lot of things around it that maybe aren't so happy and joyful. And we understand that too.
We definitely do.
Yes. And so I just want to say, for those of you that are, in some way suffering or less than joyful this weekend, give yourself some grace, and please just understand that you're not alone.
Also, Mother's Day is made up. It's a consumer holiday. We're buying cards. So that's another thing. It's okay.
This is a commercial day. Just know that. But it's also just packed with all this significance.
Yeah.
And as much as we try to tell ourselves it's just a Hallmark day or whatever, you're still going to feel it. I know. I can, from my own experience, like, yeah, I can tell myself, yeah, it's just a marketing thing, but boy, I better hear from my kids on Mother's Day,
Yeah.
They better celebrate me.
Yeah. And of course, acknowledging people who are not able to have kids and who would like to have kids, who do not have a great relationship with their mom and would like to, or would not like to. All of the holding space for all of it.
Yes, and there's also the huge space of infertility and pregnancy loss, and I can speak to that personally as well. So there's just a whole world out there of experiences and emotions and things that don't match the beautiful flowered cards. So we just want to lift you up
Yes.
and say, give yourself grace and seek comfort and joy in whatever way you can. And I also want to say this, Mother's Day, the mother we all have in common, the mother that supports the life of all of us is the Mother Earth.
Pachamama.
Pachamama. So Mother's Day, yeah, the source of life. Embrace it.
Mama
And
Dirt.
Mama Dirt, good dirt, Mother Earth. There's a reason there's the age-old expression of Mother Earth, because Earth is the source of all sustenance. So, yes.
Yes. Take care of yourselves. Have
Yes.
a good weekend. Happy Earth Mama Pachamama Day
And Mother's Day.
and Mother's Day.
And
Thank you all.
yes. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in, calling in, and spreading the good dirt. We love hearing from you. You can reach our listener voicemail at 443-459-1950. That's 443-459-1950. You can find this number in our show notes and in our Instagram profile.
This show is produced by Lady Farmer, a slow living lifestyle community, and the original music is composed and performed by John Kingsley.
For more from Lady Farmer, follow us on Instagram at We Are Lady Farmer. That's We Are Lady Farmer. Or join us online at www.ladyfarmer.com. We'll see you next time on The Good Dirt.
Goodbye.